My name is Murray Keefe. I'm representing Grace United Church, and today's reading is from Leviticus chapters 3 through 6. I will be reading from the NIV version of the Bible. Leviticus chapter 3, the fellowship offering. If your offering is a fellowship offering, and you offer an animal from a herd, whether it be male or female, you are to present it to the Lord before the Lord, an animal without defect. You are to lay your hand on the head of your offering and slaughter it at the entrance to the tent of meeting. Then Aaron's sons, the priests, shall splash the blood against the sides of the altar. From the fellowship offering, you are to bring a food offering to the Lord, the internal organs and all the fat that is connected to them, both kidneys with the fat on them near the loins, and the long lobe of the liver, which you will remove with the kidneys. Then Aaron's sons are to burn it on the altar on top of the burnt offering that is lying on the burning wood. It is a food offering, an aroma pleasing to the Lord. If you offer an animal from a flock as a fellowship offering to the Lord, you are to offer a male or a female without defect. If you offer a lamb, you are to present it before the Lord. Lay your hand on its head and slaughter it in front of all the tent of meeting. Then the Lord's sons shall splash its blood against the sides of the altar. From a fellowship offering, you are to bring a food offering to the Lord. Its fat, the entire fat, tail cut off close to the backbone, the internal organs, and all the fat that is connected to them, both kidneys with the fat on them near the loins, and the long lobe of the liver, which you will remove with the kidneys. The priest shall burn them on the altar as a food offering presented to the Lord. If your offering is a goat, you are to present it before the Lord. Lay your hand on its head and slaughter it in front of the tent of meeting. Then Aaron's sons shall splash its blood against the sides of the altar. From what you offer, you are to present this food offering to the Lord, the internal organs and all the fat that is connected to them, both kidneys with the fat on them near the loins, and the long lobe of the liver, which you will remove with the kidneys. The priest shall burn them on the altar as a food offering, a pleasing aroma. All the fat is the Lord's. This lasting ordinance for generations to come, wherever you live, you must not eat any fat or any blood. Chapter 4, the sin offering. The Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, when anyone sins unintentionally and does what is forbidden in the way of the Lord's commands. If the anointed priest's sins bring guilt on people, he must bring to the Lord a young bull without defect as a sin offering for the sin he has committed. He is to present the bull at the entrance to the tent meeting before the Lord. He is to lay his hand on its head and slaughter it there before the Lord. The anointed priest shall take some of the bull's blood and carry it into the tent meeting. He is to dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle some of it 7 times before the Lord in front of the curtain and the sanctuary. The priest shall then put some of the blood on the horns of the altar, fragrant incense that is before the Lord in the tent of meeting. The rest of the bull's blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar of the burnt offering at the entrance to the tent of meeting. He shall remove all of the fat from the bull of the sin offering, all of the fat that is connected to the internal organs, both kidneys with the fat on them near the loins, and the long lobe of the liver, which he will remove with the kidneys. Just as the fat is removed from the ox sacrificed as a fellowship offering. Then the priest shall burn them on the altar of burnt offering. But the hide of the bull and all its flesh, as well as its head and legs and internal organs and intestines, that all the rest of the bull he must take outside the camp to a place ceremonially clean where the ashes are thrown, and burn it there in a wood fire on the ash heap. If the whole Israelite community sins unintentionally and does what is forbidden in any of the Lord's commands, even though the community is unaware of the matter, when they are realize their guilt and sin they committed becomes known, the assembly must bring a young bull as a sin offering and present it before the tent of meeting. The elders of the community are to lay their hands on the bull's head before the Lord, and the bull shall be slaughtered before the Lord. Then the anointed priest is to take some of the bull's blood into the tent meeting. He shall dip his finger into the blood and sprinkle it before the Lord 7 times in front of the curtain. He is to put some of the blood on the horns of the altar that is before the Lord in the tent meeting. The rest of the blood shall be poured at the base of the altar of the burnt offering at the entrance to the tent meeting. He shall remove all the fat from it and burn it on the altar, and do this bull just as he had with the bull for the sin offering. In this way the priest will make an atonement for the community, and he will be forgiven. This he shall take the bull outside. Then he shall take the bull outside the camp and burn it as he burned the first bull. This is a sin offering for the community. When the leader says, unintentionally does what is forbidden, any of the commands of the Lord his God, he realizes his guilt, and the sin he has committed becomes known. He must bring his offering, a male goat without defect. He lays hands on the goat's head and slaughter it in the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered before the Lord. It is a sin offering. Then the priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. He shall burn all the fat on the altar as he burned the fat of the fellowship offering. In this way the priest will make atonement for the leader's sin. He will be forgiven. If any member of the community sins unintentionally and does what is forbidden in any of the Lord's commands, then when they realize their guilt and sins they have committed becomes known, they must bring as their offering for some sin they committed a female goat without defect. They are to lay their hand on the head of the sin offering and slaughter it at the place of the burnt offering. Then the priest is to take some of the blood within his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of the burnt offering and pour out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. They shall remove all the fat, just as the fat is removed from the fellowship offering. And the priest shall burn it on the altar as an aroma pleasing to the Lord. In this way the priest will make atonement for them, and they will be forgiven. If someone brings a lamb as their sin offering, they are to bring a female without defect. They are to lay their hands on its head, slaughter it for the sin offering at the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered. And then the priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. Then shall remove all fat, just as fat is removed from the lamb of the fellowship offering. The priest shall burn it on the altar on top of the food offerings presented to the Lord. In this way the priest will make atonement for them for the sin they have committed, and they will be forgiven. Chapter 5. If anyone sins because they do not speak up when they hear public charge to testify regarding something they have seen or learned about, they will be held responsible. If anyone becomes aware that they are guilty, if they unwittingly touch anything ceremoniously unclean, whether the carcass of an unclean animal, wild or domestic, or an unclean creature that moves along the ground, then they are unaware of what they have become unclean, that they have become unclean. But then they come to realize their guilt, or they touch human uncleanliness, anything that would make them unclean, even though they are unaware of it, but then they learn of it and realize their guilt. Or if anyone thoughtlessly makes an oath to anything, whether good or evil, in a matter one might be carelessly swear about it, even though they are unaware of it, but then they learn of it and realize their guilt. When anyone becomes aware that they are guilty of any of these matters, they must confess in what they have sinned. As a penalty for sin they have committed, they must bring to the Lord a female lamb or goat from a flock as a sin offering, and the priest shall make atonement for their sin. Anyone who cannot afford a lamb is to bring 2 doves or 2 young pigeons to the Lord as a penalty for their sin. One for a sin offering and the other one for a burnt offering. They are to bring them to the priest, who shall first offer them. The one for the sin offering, he is to wring its head from its neck, not dividing it completely. He is to splash some of its blood on the sin offering against the side of the altar, and the rest of the blood must be drained out at the base of the altar. It is a sin offering. The priest shall then offer the other as a burnt offering, as prescribed, the way, and make atonement for them for the sin they have committed. They will be forgiven. If, however, they cannot afford 2 doves or 2 young pigeons, they are to bring as an offering for their sin 1/10 of the ephah of their finest flour for a sin offering. They must not put olive oil or incense on it, because it is a sin offering. They are to bring it to the priest, who shall take a handful of it as a memorial portion and burn it on the altar on top of the food offerings presented to the Lord. It is a sin offering. In this way the priest will make atonement for them of any of these sins they have committed, and they will be forgiven. The rest of the offering will belong to the priest, as in the case of the grain offering. Now the guilt offering. The Lord said to Moses, when anyone is unfaithful to the Lord, is sinning unintentionally in regard to any of the Lord's holy things, they are to bring it to the Lord as a penalty, a ram from the flock, one without defect, and the proper value in silver, according to the sanctuary shekel. It is a guilt offering. They must make restitution for what they have failed to do in regard to the holy things. Pay an additional penalty of 1/5 of its value and bring it to the priest. The priest will make atonement for them and the ram as a guilt offering, and they will be forgiven. If anyone sins and is for what is forbidden in the Lord's commands, even though they do not know they are guilty, and will be responsible, they are to bring the priest as a guilt offering a ram from the flock, one without defect and of proper value. In this way the priest will make atonement for them and the wrong they have committed unintentionally, and they will be forgiven. It is a guilt offering. They have been guilty of wrongdoing against the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, if anyone sins and is unfaithful to the Lord by deceiving a neighbor about something entrusted to them or in their care, or about something stolen, or if they cheat their neighbor, or if they find lost property and lie about it, or if they swear falsely about such sin the people may commit. When they sin in any of these ways and realize their guilt, they must return what they have stolen or taken by extortion, or what was entrusted to them, or lost property they found, or whatever it was they swore falsely about. Then they must make restitution in full, add a fifth of the value to it, and give it all to the owner on the day they present their guilt offering. As a penalty, they must bring to the priest, who is the Lord, their guilt offering, a ram from a flock without defect and of the proper value. In this way, the priest will make atonement for them before the Lord, and they will be forgiven for any things that made them guilty. The burnt offering. The Lord said to Moses, "Give Aaron and his sons this command. These are the regulations for burnt offering. The burnt offering is to remain on the altar hearth throughout the night till morning, and the fire must be kept burning on the altar. The priest shall then put on his linen clothes with linen undergarments next to his body, and shall remove the ashes of the burnt offering that fire has consumed on the altar, a place beside them on the altar. Then he is to take off these clothes, put on others, and carry the ashes outside the camp to a place that is ceremoniously clean. The fire on the altar must be kept burning. It must not go out. Every morning the priest is to add firewood and arrange the burnt offering on the fire and burn the fat of the fellowship offerings on the fire. The fire must be kept burning on the altar continuously. It must not go out. And the grain offering. These are regulations for a grain offering. Aaron's sons are to bring it before the Lord in front of the altar. The priest is to take a handful of the finest flour and some olive oil, together with the incense on the grain offering, and burn the memorial portion on the altar, which is as the aroma is pleasing to the Lord. Aaron and his sons shall eat the rest of it, but it is to be eaten without yeast in the sanctuary area. They are to eat it in the courtyard of the tent meeting. It must not be baked with yeast. I have given it as the share of the food offering presented to me. Like the sin offering and guilt offering, it is most holy. Any male descendants of Aaron may eat it for all generations to come, and it is perpetual share the food offerings presented to the Lord. Whatever touches them will become holy. The Lord said to Moses, "This is an offering Aaron and his sons are to bring to the Lord on the day he is anointed. A tenth of ephah of the finest flour is a regular grain offering, half of it in the morning and half of it in the evening. It must be prepared with oil on a griddle, bringing well mixed and present grain offering broken in pieces. The aroma is pleasing to the Lord. The son who has succeeded him as anointed priest shall prepare it. This is the Lord's perpetual share, and is to be burnt completely. Every grain offering of a priest shall be burnt completely and must not be eaten." The sin offering. The Lord said to Moses, "Say to Aaron and his sons, these are the regulations for the sin offering. The sin offering is to be slaughtered before the Lord in place of the burnt offering. It is slaughtered. It is most holy. The priest who offers it shall eat it. It is to be eaten in the sanctuary area of the courtyard of the tent of meeting. Whatever touches any of the flesh will become holy, and if the blood is splattered on a garment, you must wash it in the sanctuary area. The clay pot the meat is cooked in must be broken, but if it is cooked in a bronze pot, it is to be scoured and rinsed with water. Any male in a priest's family may eat it, as it is most holy. But any sin offering whose blood is brought into the tent of meeting, make atonement to the holy place, must not be eaten. It must be burned up. This is the word of the Lord.